Hi guys, welcome to the broadcast. I'm Paracore, streaming on the MagicGatheringStrat channel, and we're playing Modern today, 4 rounds this event, Modern Times. And we will get started in a few minutes here, probably like 5 to 10 minutes until we get started. I just want to show you the deck a little bit because it's not the deck I have been playing. I'm playing something new. Well, not really new. I played a version of this deck before with 2 dismember main instead of 1, and let's see, one was missing. The Silent Arbiter, basically this Silent Arbiter used to be another dismember, and this Eugene I think was another Mind Slaver, or another Worm Core Engine probably. Oh no, I think this was another Mind Slaver and this was another dismember. And yeah, it's basically very close to a list which cbgirardo is talking about in the primer, and as I said, I tried it before. Didn't like the Trinket Mage package, which is kind of the defining thing for me. Let's see, where is it? We have a Trinket Mage here, and we have 1 Chalice, 1 Pithing Needle in the main. And as I said, I tried this. It didn't work so great for me, and I kinda abandoned it, like, after only playing maybe 2 or 3 times of it. And not long after, I went and tried out the Gifts Ungiven thing, and I tried that out a little bit. And as I said before, I really enjoy playing it a lot. I really enjoy playing it. But I think this list might be more competitive. And he's still talking about the same list. It hasn't changed. His list hasn't changed much over the last, I don't know, months actually. So I want to give it another try. I currently only have 2 dismember, so instead of playing 2 dismember in the main and 1 side, I want to continue playing with Silent Arbiter because it has been working so great for me with gifts. And even before I played gifts, this is really a card which I think people are underestimating, since midrange is a huge problem for me. And I think especially when you have a Chalice, if you put a Chalice on 1, it takes care of Path, and Path is kind of the only removal which really can deal with Silent Arbiter. If your opponent double bolts it or whatever, you're just getting ahead, right? So that's fine. And Chalice also takes care of bolts or whatever. Yeah, I just want to give this list another try. The sideboard is really different than his, because there's just some cards I don't own, like Hercules Recall, just like extremely expensive, and he plays 2 Chalice on the sideboard. He does not play Bottle Gnomes, does not play Spell's Guide, does not play Pact, but I like all of these cards, so I will continue playing them. And I'll probably think about adding another Dismember to the main. Dismember is always a card which I'm kind of on edge. I know just sometimes it's really great, and but too often it sits in your hand and you can't cast it because the life loss would be too huge. And I do play an Orborg again, which helps. Well, we will have to see. And something else people have been talking about is Anticipate, which I would like to try, but I don't really know where I would fit it in, which card I could possibly cut from these 60 cards. I don't think you want to go below 6 threats, maybe. Maybe you can go 5 threats, but one Anticipate is not that important. I guess you could cut the Trinket Mage package that would free up 3 slots. Instead of playing Trinket Mage, Pithing Needle, Chalice, you could play just 3 Anticipates. Basically as a really good cantrip. And it seems we're getting started here. I'm gonna put up the chat now since I think you had a good look at the deck. And yeah, there's still Eugene in this deck, and I still like Eugene. Gifts Ungiven didn't make Eugene that much better. I mean, sometimes you could just gifts into Eugene, Oblivion Stone, Mindslayer, Catamaroons, and your opponent knew they lost the game. There was no way for them to come back because they either gave you waste wipe reward or they would give you Mindslayer lock. There was no way to play around. So there was no way for them to play around everything, right? No matter what they give you, you're basically gonna win the game. Even if they give you O-Stone Eugene, you're gonna O-Stone once, then you're gonna Eugene and plus 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 minus 10. You know, it's insane. And if they don't give you that, they give you Catamaroons and O-Stone, which means you have O-Stone lock, or the next turn you have minus 0 lock. So it's just insane. And many other gifts configurations are possible with Eugene and Noxious Revival and stuff like that, which was really insane. But I think Gifts Ungiven is, while it's fun, as I said before, I don't think it's necessarily uh, competitively the best decision. And I also felt like just trying out something new for a change. I still have my gifts, I didn't sell them. And maybe I will continue playing them. I think I'm gonna play it daily this weekend. I'm not sure yet because I kinda have a few things lined up, both on Sunday and Saturday. Um, but hopefully I will have the time to stream on either Sunday or Saturday. And I don't know I don't know right now when the daily timings are, so I can't tell you when I will be streaming. It will probably be very spontaneous. I will just realize that I have some free time and that there's a daily happening. And I will probably also try to match it up with a timing when there's no big streamers, because you can really tell that when you're streaming, when there's like no big streamers like Namot or one, I don't know, any really big guys, you know, streaming, you can very easily get, I don't know, 50, maybe even 100 viewers, even on a, you know, pretty unknown stream like ours, just because you're then the only streaming a certain format, because these people tune in and they want to watch something and they see none of the big streamers are online, and then they look through the list and they see, oh, somebody's streaming modern and there's not a lot of people streaming modern, so they just tune in. Usually you have 2 or 3 people then streaming the modern daily. I just realized that yeah, never mind. Something was weird in Gathering and I'm just a little bit confused because it's not starting. This doesn't this doesn't sound good for us. I haven't played the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago there was the two-headed giant week, I think, and last week I had a cold and I really didn't feel like streaming. But it seems like the tournament has been dominated by by Blue Tron, which is understandable because Blue Tron is a cheap deck which performs very well, and people who uh, who are new to Magic Online, who want to start out Modern, they probably are going to buy a pretty cheap deck like Blutron or maybe Vocals or I don't know, and or Soul Sisters maybe. And then when you have a cheap deck like that, you don't want to test it out in a daily right away. You would rather go in a player run event. So you will have more of these cheap tier 2 decks um, in a player run event than you will find in the daily. Although in the daily I had a Lutron mirror and well, it didn't go so well. Despite me playing very good in my opinion with the mirror, I ended up losing due to him being a little bit lucky. So we're playing against, what's his name? Jogando Pilato. I played a couple times against him, but I have to say, uh, that's a mouthful. And there we are. What? Games. Yeah, seems good. And we win with die roll, which is really important. I mean, I know this is a mulligan, but this is definitely a keep. There's no way you can keep a 7 land hand, basically. I count these expedition maps basically as lands. It's not quite as bad as a 7 land, but okay. I'm really happy we didn't keep the first hand, but as I said, that was unkeepable. Um, this might be okay here. I'm willing to condescend. I don't want to crack here because we're not having a turn 3 Tron. We could have, and if I had a Womp Engine or a Battle Skull in hand, I would probably have played the mine and would have tried to go turn 3 Womp Engine or turn 3 Battle Skull. But since it's Eugene, the earliest we can possibly play it is turn 4. And I could have, oh, well, wow. Riemann is not very good against our opponent, but it does buy us some time. I'm debating just leaving the tower on top, or leaving Riemann and tower on top the way it is right now. We draw the Riemann, then we draw into the tower, or we shuffle both away, hope we draw a Condescend, which would be better than either of those, and we still get Tron. I mean, we don't need this tower, and Riemann is not that great. I think this is a really tough decision. You could do anything here. You could bottom both, you could keep either, or you could keep both. I think it's totally fine, but I think I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. It's weird, but we develop our mana base, and he hopefully doesn't. Maybe he's stuck on one land, which would mean that he's gonna play something like Lightning Bolt, and we remount it, and he does nothing except attack for 1, and we basically time walked, and as I said before, we developed our mana, right? So we're getting something out of this, while he is not really getting anything out of this. Okay, we were a little bit unlucky, but there's no real reason to crack here, is there? Actually, there is, because we get one more draw. Yeah, because I'd like to draw a spell next turn, so it's still okay to do this. Basically, this expedition map reads draw a card at this point. Well, well, but we're still very, very well off. Let's see if he's gonna redirect. No. Never Rift Bolt. Which we could Riemann. Riemann on Rift Bolt is pretty good. I like the blue source here. And I'm definitely gonna try to -10 next turn. First of all, gaining 7 life is pretty huge. I'm gonna remount this, by the way. Because of the suspend, it's a pretty good target for remount. Also, we could draw into another counter, and then we have the ability to counter 2 spells, but we didn't. But it's still a good draw here. fabricate into better Skull of Onka Engine probably wins us the game. I'm debating if I want to fabricate before I do the ultimate, and I think it's obvious, isn't it? Skull crack, sure. And I think it's pretty obvious. We fabricate into I gotta say Wonka Engine probably. I guess it could be Mindslaver. And that is there something missing? Two remaining. Oh, we didn't do this? Well, okay, whatever. Yeah, we have an amazing hand now and an amazing board. Okay, two Rift Bolts. That's fine. So I will repeal this Eugene. Just for fun, basically. Oh, there's something missing. Because we can, basically. And because repeal is not gonna matter in any way. Gonna get a mine here since we already got the second tower. Just so we don't draw, hopefully don't draw another land to thin the deck a little bit. Yeah, that seems fine. But I don't think there's any way we can lose this. Yeah, and he realizes that there's just no way for him to win this. Let's see, Chalice is pretty good, Lifelink is pretty good. Spellskite is pretty good. Snapcaster is okay. Negates are okay. Pack probably is not. Bottle Gnomes, of course. Dismember could be. Yeah, I think the 7 cards on the left side are not very good. The 7 cards on the right side are very good, and the 1 card in the middle, I'm not so quite sure about. Put this on one pile. Resize this a little bit so get some better visuals. So the Titan for sure doesn't belong here. Also, Eugene is not that good. I mean, he was amazing this time, but usually it's not that great. Remons are not good. I mean, you can name Lavamancer with Pithingale, but I don't think it's that good, actually. I mean, if we are always gonna get Chalice anyway. Silent Arbiter. It's a decent blocker. You could board out something like Expedition Map. I think that's definitely a possibility. Something you can do. I like getting an Orbok though if you have a Dismember in hand. Cutting one more card. I mean, it could be Arbiter. It could also be O-Stone probably. We don't know how many creatures he's playing, so it's not very easy to tell what the right move here should be. I think I'm just gonna cut an Expedition Map actually. I'm also still thinking about this Dismember. Or actually cutting this Dismember. But Dismember can be very, very good. The thing is, I don't like playing to Dismember if you have only 3 ways to get to Orborg. So I'm gonna try this way. I like this hand. It has the right amount of lands. It has 2 counter magic and a draw spell. And it's close to Tron. It has Warborg, so if we draw into Dismember, it's good. It's really great. One of these lands could have been Expedition Map, basically. But that's well, there we go. That's literally what I say all the time when I have a hand. I say, well, one of these lands could have been an Expedition Map, then it would have been better. But you know, we drew this, so seems good. He didn't play creatures. That's always a good sign. Well, not always, but usually. So we gotta play the blue here. So we have negate and condescend open. And if he doesn't do anything, well, I'm not gonna counter that. If he doesn't do anything, we're gonna get our spell power plant, obviously. Rift Bolt, okay. I'm not so sure what. I mean, I want to play with power plant. Question is, do I want to thirst at the end of turn? No, I mean, I don't need to expedition that. I think I'm still gonna do it because I would probably like to have a second blue source at some point. And we still have a hard counter in negate and a blocker with Snapcaster. So if he plays a haste creature, we might Snapcaster. I think I did a mistake. I think I should have just kept First Knowledge open. First Knowledge would have been so much better than fetching here into second blue source. Because now we're also not sure what we want to play. Do we want to Thirst, then hope we find a better skull or something? I think we Thirst right now, but oh boy. After them, we're gonna have 5 mana open, so only better skull and Silent Altar and Chalice would be good. I think this is a good play. Since we only have 1 blue source. Oh yeah, it is definitely good play. 2 cards, please. Oh, I shouldn't be playing a snow-covered island, by the way. So I'm gonna play the Chalice on. Do I actually want to play the Chalice on 1 or Chalice on 2? I think after boarding it's actually on 2, but because of negate and Snapcast, I'm not gonna do it. And the next turn we play Angel and we protect it like hell with negate, basically. Condescend. So yeah, after boarding you usually want to have your Chalice on 2 because all the hate they brought in, Destructive Revelry, like we just saw, and Smashes Marines is on 2. Well, we are okay-ish, considering we have an Angel and a hard counter for 2. So if he has another Smash or another Revelry, we should be fine. If he has 2, that would be kinda lucky, to be honest. Oh, this has to be better. I'm not gonna play Silent Arbiter here. Silent Arbiter doesn't really change anything, and if I top deck first, I would very much like to discard it maybe. He's top decking lands, so that's good for us. I'm thinking about Snapcaster first, but I think I want to play it safe. I think I want to play it safe and always have both Condescend and Negate up. Well, okay, this changes quite a bit actually. We might get blown out here if he has a removal now for Angel, but I don't think he has. And this attack on its own, well, he has a Skull Crab, it seems. Negating this, if we negate this, well, he only has one card in hand. I think it's okay to negate this. If his last card is Smash, he just owned us, basically. But as I said 8 life gain is so huge. Yeah, and he writes GG and he concedes. So it would have been a masterful play by him if his last card would have been Smash to Smithereens on the Angel. But when we are down to, I don't know, how much damage does Smash do? I think 2 or 3. We're down to 6. He has 0 cards in hand. Actually, Sky correct, we're down to 3. Well, it would have been very close then, but yeah. This attack basically wins us the game. He goes down to 4. We have lethal next turn, and we go to 17. And next turn we're gonna have Snapcaster and Condescend. Spell Burst from yeah. Getting this attack through basically meant winning, so I think it's okay to negate there. Let me just report this real quick, and then we're gonna watch somebody else play. So that's the burn matchup for you. I know a lot of people are oftentimes misunderstanding the burn matchup and think it's like the worst matchup possible or whatever. And that's not true at all, as you could see. I mean, one match is not a good way to judge a matchup, and he probably, first game, we had a pretty sick hand, to be honest, in the way we drew, and he just couldn't really pressure us because he was stuck on one land. And the other game he got flooded, so you have to keep that in mind when you evaluate the game or the match. And but it's usually still at least even. I mean, at least if you win the die roll, it's an even matchup. If they win the die roll, it can be very tough. If they have turn 1 Goblin Guide, turn 2 Monastery Swiftspear Bolt or something like that, or turn 2 Eidolon, it can be very, very tough, but they basically have to have a really crazy hand and win the die roll. And if they have that, you basically can't win, or it's really, really unlikely that you win. But if they have a mediocre hand and you have a mediocre hand, you're gonna win usually, because they're not gonna be able to finish you before turn 5 or 6. At which point you usually put a Better Skull down, or a Womka Engine, or a Platinum Angel, and on the way to turn 5 or turn 6, you condescended something, you negated something, and that slowed them down even more, so they need even one more turn, you know. So if you have early interaction versus them, like repeal on a Goblin Guide and stuff like that, if you have that early interaction, and by a turn or two because of that, you will be able usually to drop down a Womka Engine or Better Skull just before you lose. And then it oftentimes depends on, do they have a Destructive Revelry or the Smash the Smithereens in hand, and if they do, then you sometimes still get blown out just you know, the last turn before you would win because your life linker connects. And sometimes there's also Skull Crack, so it is a lot dependent on which cards they draw, which cards you draw. But it's really not as one-sided as people think all the time. It's really quite close and even, in my opinion at least. Um, well, okay, that's enough about that. So we see Ben here playing against Aramrock, and Aramrock is playing Blue White-Tron. And I can't really talk about Blue White-Tron. I've never played it. I suppose he is Gifts Ungiven and Reanimating combo, but he probably boarded it out against Ben because Elishnorn and well, Elishnorn is pretty good, but Elishnorn still dies to stuff like Pop. And I'm not talking about Elishnorn. What am I talking about? What I meant was Iona is pretty good. If you play Iona versus Blue White Red and you name Blue, it's still very good, right? But Iona still dies to Path, that's the problem. And Elishnorn is useless because the opponent doesn't really play creatures except for maybe Snapcaster. So he probably got rid of the whole Reanimator thing. And Ben just said in chat that he punted. We see here that this Colonnade has 3 damage, so I suppose something happened there. Oh, I think he bolted once. I think he bolted twice here because there's 2 red mana tapped, and he bolted once the Colonnade and once a token, or once a Colonnade, once to the head. I think he mistargeted one of these bolts. I should pay more attention when I'm observing. But this wasn't game 3. This was game 2, so, or game 1 even. I don't know. Turn 13 might have very well been game 1, right? Let's watch somebody else. Michelle Wong. Oh, they're sideboarding. I want to see what deck she's playing, because she said she has a lot of hate versus Blutron, and if I play against her, I want to have all the info, so I have a high chance to win game 1, and yeah, so I'm not that, so I don't have to be scared of that sideboard that much. And we see another green. What is it? Well, Destructive Revelry and the new command probably. So we see another burn deck, and oh, I know what this is. I think, but I forgot. What is this? Is this Breach Trap? River Breach and Summoning Trap? And Primeval Titan and Valakut? Could be, right? Could be. I mean, it can't be normal Scapeshift because there's no blue. And he would have gotten some blue by now, I think. Well, actually, why? If you play against Burn, you don't need Cryptic, really. I guess you could still use Cryptic to tap all opponent's creatures, or to counter and draw, or to peer through depths. I think peer through depths is the one I mean, yeah. So I guess it could be Scapeshift, and he's just playing weird, but I think that's unlikely. I think it has to be something else. Well, I don't think the Summoning Trap Through Breach deck is playing fast against Search for Tomorrow. I don't think it rams at all. I think it does play Tribe Elder because it hopes that you counter Tribe Elder and then they get to Summoning Trap, right? Yeah, Summoning Trap is the card. Well, we will have to see soon, because if he doesn't play anything, well, there's the Titan, which I expected. Maybe it's just ramp it to Titan. That's the really nice thing about Modern. If you don't take it too seriously, I mean, if you're not just playing tier 1 decks, which was just like 3, 4, maybe 5 of them out there, you have a huge amount of diversity. I mean, people say like, oh, there's no diversity in Modern. That's complete bull. Just that's just people with a narrow view of a format who think there's just, I don't know, affinity and junk. I don't even know what's tier 1 right now, to be honest. I guess twins, twin, the Bloom Titan deck, affinity and junk probably. Maybe Infect. Those 5 decks are probably tier 1 right now. And to be quite honest, most of these decks I think are insanely boring, I have to say. There's a bunch of decks I would really like to play. None of them is tier 1. I would really like to play a Norrin deck. I would really like to play a token deck, like a black-white token deck. I would really like to play blue-white control with Narset. I mean, those are decks I'm interested in. And all of these are tier 2 or tier 3. Because they are fun to play. I like this Artakas command. I think it's pretty strong. And I'm a little bit salty because I think Wizards keeps printing strong spells, except in my colors. Well, they printed very strong spells in blue, but they banned them right away. So I really like Dig Through Time in Modern. But I think this is pretty good. I mean, worst case, this is Skullcrag, right? And best case, you can use the +1/+1 and still do 3 damage. But I think he's just gonna win here because he gets to get 2 mountains and then another 2 mountains plus the attack here. Yeah, that should be over, right? Well, oh no, he got Valakuts. Well, it doesn't matter. Now he gets 2. Wow, he's gonna do this is 3, 9, 18 damage just because just off of a trigger. Yeah, it's overkill. He could have done this any number of ways, but he just wins. Yeah, that's 18 damage if I calculated it correctly. 6 triggers. Oh, I should update the overlay. I'm sorry, I'm forgetful. So Drunken Sailor wins against Burn. Let's have a look here. And we have another Burn deck. This is like the third? Yeah, the third Burn deck. Wow. Why is Michelle Wong worried about the Blue Tron matchup if she's playing Merfolk? Merfolk, in case you don't know, is the worst matchup, according to me and a bunch of people, for Blue Tron. Basically, if you're wondering why, it's a very fast deck, and generally fast decks are the problem of control decks. And on top of that, it has Island Walk, which is very effective against us. So even if you do get a Womka Engine or Better Skull down, they can still just swing with their army of fish. And Spreading Seas is very good. They use it on Academy Ruins. They use it on your tower. And repealing it isn't really an option. I mean, you can repeal it once you have assembled Tron, or you would have Tron if there wasn't Spreading Seas, so you repeal it end of turn, so you get Tron next turn, but that only gives you Tron for 1 turn, because they can just replay Spreading Seas and they get extra value. Spreading Seas is really, really good. And then there's Kira, and there's Curse Catcher, and there's Ethervile. Ethervile is really, really good against any deck that plays counters. They will just put Ethervile on 2, and Master of Pearl Trident and Lord of Atlantis are the most important drops they have. because they give Island Walk and +1/+1 to all others. And she loses though. She loses the match, so that's good for us. So we won't most likely won't have to play against her. And Master of Pearl Trident, Lord of Atlantis, and I think there's one other which does the +1/+1 and all other Merfolks have Island Walk. These are the most important drops they have, and if they have an Aether Vial, I absolutely try to get it out that way so you can't condescend. And there's also, on top of that, Mutavault, which is really good. Not only because it, can be a 3/3 or 4/4 with Island Walk. No, just a 2/2 bashing your head can sometimes be enough if you're at like 6 life and he manages to hit you and you clear this board with O-Stone and you have a handful of repeal. It's okay for him to just activate this in attack because there's almost no way in the blue Tron deck to deal with Mutavault. There's Dismember, there's Tech Edge, both of which in my deck currently are 1-off. So main lands like Colonnade or Mutavault are a huge problem for the deck. Come on. And yeah, Merfolk or Fishes, as sometimes the deck is called, just really tough deck to deal with. And in my opinion, really the #1 deck against Tron. And really, you don't need to design a sideboard towards beating Tron when you're playing Merfolk. I mean, you could totally put stuff in the sideboard which are also good against Tron, like maybe Pithing Needle, which you could name O-Stone, or Mindslaver against Tron, but you could also use the Pithing Needle versus other decks, right? You could still use it against Red-Green Tron to name Karn or to name Oblivion Stone. Or I don't know, against whichever decks you would want a Pithing Needle. So we have both Iona and Elishnorn in the graveyard here. This has to be game 3 by now, I think. Well, actually, this is turn 10. The game before was turn 13, so this might be game 2. It's tough to say. We have a Keranos. I haven't seen that dude in a while, but I really like the card. Kind of like a blue-red Dark Confidant, just better. Well, not quite. Not quite, but just read the card, basically. If you don't know it. Just a great card. I wish they would print a card like that in blue or in just blue or blue-white. The things I like about it, it's really tough to remove because it's an enchantment that's indestructible, right? Like most of the gods, but I don't really like all the other gods. How did he just? How did he? Oh, he lightning helix. Okay. And his opponent's just gonna concede because he's just gonna swing with. Oh no, the 3 damage came from him, of course. He's just now gonna swing and win. So I really like that this is kind of like Phyrexian Arena in that it's card advantage as an enchantment that's hard to remove, and I would really like to play a card like that, but I don't like playing Izzet colors, I don't like playing red, so I would wish there was a monocolored version of this card or blue-white version, and it would do something like kind of card advantage during your upkeep and maybe some other effect. That would be good. I mean, that's kind of what it's doing, right? If it's a land, you draw a card. If it's a non-land, you have a vault. It's pretty strong. I'm trying to think how this could be better, or how this could be mono blue. I guess if it was mono blue, it would just say at the beginning of your upkeep draw a card, which would be kind of boring, but it would be very good still. But kind of the one of the advantages is that it was game 2. They're still going strong. One of the advantages is that it has 2 effects, and you do get to also burn, which sometimes is better than just draw. Let's have a look at this game. There's only 2 tables going, and one of them is sideboarding, so we have to have a look at this one. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go AFK for a minute and get me some ice cream, since we're having downtime right now, and I really feel like eating ice cream. Okay, I'm back, and I have an ice cream cone. It's called Acarino, but it's basically just chocolate with different degree of darkness. Like there's really dark and then slightly less dark, and some nuts in there. I don't know whatever it is, wherever you're from, but in Germany, and specifically part where I'm from, it kind of has been summer for the last week. For the first time, really, like a week ago, it was still very cold and rainy and stuff like that, and that's why I got a cold too. But the last week has been amazing. T-shirt, kind of warm, going out with just a t-shirt on basically, and so I really got into the mood of eating some ice cream. I have no idea what the top player is playing. No idea at all. How did his graveyard get exiled? What am I missing? I have no idea. I don't really know how you call this deck. I'm not sure if this is called Grixis Delver, or if this is another deck since it plays both Angler and Tazagor. But I know the deck basically. It's basically Delve cards and Delver. So it's basically Angler, Tazagor, Delver, and a bunch of spells which are 1 CMC, so Bolt, Discard, Port Scour. I guess he boarded in some Conjurer. I don't think he plays a lot of Conjure mainboard. Maybe he even plays Young Pyromancer. Probably not. Oh, I know what must have happened. He wanted to. He exiled this to cast his own Tazigor and it got remanded. Yeah, that's what happened. That's how the first three cards entered his exile. Well, it's GG. Unless his last card is a counter and it is not, but this wasn't game 3. I'm not sure what he's playing white for. Well, they're both sideboarding, so there's nothing to watch right now. And I'm using the time eating my ice cream. Let me actually bring up the chat, see if there's anything going on here. Okay, there's nothing going on here except some people didn't show up for their tables and Piggybot is just writing crap. I should not have closed that. I think we actually get what he has in his hand. No, I thought it would show up here. Okay, I'm back. I was muted for a minute because I finished my ice cream cone and I didn't want to annoy you with the sounds. But nothing really happened, right? So now it tells us what he revealed. Still doesn't tell us though why he's playing white. I mean, I could imagine a couple spells like Lingering Souls, but well, actually, only Lingering Souls and Path really come to mind, and maybe Burial Rites. But it's definitely weird, and especially since he's also playing Chromatic Lantern. Yeah, Chromatic Lantern just, I don't know. I don't think there's any reason to play Chromatic Lantern. Oh, I think I know what he might be. He might be playing the Cruel Ultimatum. Well, Cruel Ultimatum is Grixis colors. Maybe he's playing more than one. Maybe he's also playing. I don't even know the others. Brilliant Ultimatum. I don't even know which colors that is and or what it does. But even then, I don't think you want to be playing Chromatic Lantern. I think there's a strictly better version of that card actually. Well, oh no, that's green. There's a green enchantment which says all lands are all basic types, and that's I think a 2 mana green enchantment. Well, actually, I guess this isn't that bad actually. It's a mana rod for 3 mana, which also fixes your mana, but it also fixes your opponent's mana. I don't know. So we see a turn for Angler. This could have been a little bit faster, but he kept dealing with his opponent in fourth season stuff, and I would really like to see what the Chromatic Lantern and the White Mana is for, and I don't know why the Chromatic Lantern is so dark right now. It's probably sad because I said it's. It's probably sad because I said it's useless. And he tap all creatures. Why? Why tap all creatures? Why at this point it has summoning sickness? What? Tap all creatures, draw a card. This must have been a misclick. Or does he think it doesn't untap in the upkeep? Because that's not how Cryptic Command works. I'm sorry to say. I wish. Well, no, it will probably be a little bit too strong. But yeah, that's not how it works. He's gonna attack you now for 5. I mean, why didn't you bounce it? Bounce seems pretty strong. I mean, he can just replay because he had a Thought Scout, but you didn't know that. He would have had to nearly tap out to replay it if he didn't have a Thought Scout. And even then, it has Summoning Sickness again. And yeah, I don't know. Tap, I mean bounce and draw a card seems just so much better than tap and draw a card. It must have been a mistake. He didn't do anything during his turn, but he has 4 cards, so I'm hoping we see something here. Hopefully something that plays white or uses white. Snapcaster Cryptic, I assume. Hopefully this time he uses... if he uses tap draw again, that would be hilarious because this has already attacked. We're already in the attack step, and it is attacking. This looks like it's attacking the Snapcaster, which is kind of weird. I really think the arrow, like in the old climb, the arrow would be curved towards that picture which represents you, and here it's just, well, whatever. Mm, what did he do with his? He targeted Electrolyze. That's only 4 damage. If he deals 4 damage to this and nothing more, I'm gonna lose faith in humanity. No, he has a bolt. I gotta say, I think the Snapcaster Cryptic would have been just a way better play. Actually, no, maybe not. Well, you had to. You were gonna like 2 for 1. Well, the Electrolyze draws a card. It's a little bit. It's not really 2 for 1, but it's kind of a 2 for 1, I guess. Is it Charm, Electrolyze, and Snapcaster? Consume the Meek. First of all, this is a horrible board wipe. Second of all, it costs 5. Oh, it's instant speed. Well, I guess this makes it a lot better. Instant speed is kind of cool, but for 5 mana, and it doesn't really hit the things you can't deal with, which is Tazigor and England. I guess the whole point of this is though that it's one-sided, since he only plays Tazigor as creatures, and maybe Angler, which we haven't seen. I mean, I understand why he's playing it. I don't understand why he didn't board it out. Probably, I think this probably should have been boarded out in favor of a real board wipe, like maybe Supreme Verdict, which you could play since you are playing white anyway. And there it is. I like that it's blue. Can't be countered. Can't be countered. Why does it have a blue can't be countered? He's top deck mode though. He pretty obviously top decked this because he wouldn't have played the Consumer Meek. And the Snapcaster is a pretty big threat. 3-turn clock. On top of that, he doesn't have a lot of time. And there's a bolt. But that bolt went where after the Snapcaster flashback trigger had already resolved on that Thought Scour. Taxian Probe. Sadly, I don't think, no, yeah, we don't get to know what he has. And a Delver. Electrolyze would be a good draw, I assume, but Brazil has 3 cards in hand. One of them has to be a counter. So even Electrolyze. But Electrolyze has to be one of the better things he could draw here. I guess a win condition would be okay. Yeah, he does have, wow, this is new. This actually looks like Wizards didn't do it. I mean, this looks good, but there's Mana Leak. He can pay. Well, he has 6 mana. I hope he remembers that he can tap Chromatic Lantern if there's another Mana Leak. Oh, Mana Leak seems kind of desperate at that point. Wouldn't you rather just save it? I don't know. But really, the Electrolyze damage. How do we call this? The way the damage is targeted or divided or whatever actually looks kind of okay. It's actually good UI work, so that's the first from Wizards doing that. And we have Factor of Fiction happening. And we see Slaughter Games and Path. Interesting. What can he do? He can fog, which is not really important here. And he can... that's also a card. I mean, -8. I think that's called Betrayal or Treason or something. But that's a card. I think it's called betrayal or treason. It will be interesting to see what he names, but I think it has to be Tazagor Gormek Angler, both of which only one is, or I guess Lightning Bolt. I guess Lightning Bolt is okay too. But Angler and Tazagor are also 1-drops, and you also die to them, basically. Wow, this is also new, isn't it? 2 rows of permanents? When did this happen? When did they unfuck the UI? Excuse my French, but it's really not a great UI. So when you have more than 11, no, hang on, it's stacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you have more than 10, no, when you have more than 8, or what? Yeah, I think when you have more than 8 permanents, it puts them in 2 rows apparently. Didn't know about that, but I guess it usually doesn't happen because usually you don't play a 5-color deck. Well, I was right about him playing that. Did we miss this? I didn't even see what he got out of this fact or fiction. Well, he loses on time now, so it doesn't matter. So this white is apparently just for path, as far as we can tell. And I really don't understand the whole deal with the chromatic lantern. If that's the case, if he's really just playing the white, well, I guess for colonnade, which is win condition, I really don't get it because all you have to do is like play 1 basic planes and like 2 hallowed fountain and a bunch of flooded strands. Oh yeah, you're correct. It's called bribery. Well, betrayal and treason and bribery is kind of the same thing. Not really, but I was close enough. A Johnny Ultimate versus Tron. Wow, that is truly sick. So all tables are done. It seems like Ben won his game. So there's some confusion about how to report when your opponent loses on the clock, whether it's a 2-0 or 2-1. Yeah, that's the thing. They actually have run out of words. If you look at the new cards, they have really complex names. Like there's never just a card called, I don't know, just a single noun. There's no card like earthquake, or there's no card which is just called earthquake or assault or I don't know, confusion. Any noun really, because they've already printed so many cards. They basically already used all these single word nouns. There's already a card probably somewhere called that way, and now if they want to print a new card, they have to slap like 2 adjectives in front of it, like make it the super awesome earthquake or the, I don't know, spontaneous earthquake, because you can't have the same card or the same name. Well, there's anticipate. Of course, this doesn't hold true for every single card. I'm sorry, I was just trying to explain how it is generally, right? But you are true. There's of course some cards which still have just a single noun. Yeah, I mean, Look at Supreme Verdict. It's not just Verdict or I don't know. You know, it's Zagrafo. I don't think we saw Zagrafo play. No, it's okay. Trinketron, Modern 1v1. Let's host this up. And we're getting started already. So I don't think we watched him play, which means I don't know what he's playing. But we win with die roll, so that's always a good sign. Let me have a chat with him, and then put that to the side. And of course we want to start, and we want to mulligan, and we want to mulligan again, and keep. Really? A basic mountain. I'm gonna play island here because if he plays Goblin Guide or I don't know, a creature, I might want a Snapcaster actually. Dragon Fodder, okay, I'm not gonna Snapcaster in response to that. uh, this is kind of tough. I like having a blocker, so I definitely want to play the Trinket Mage, and I definitely want to use the ability. The question is, do we? I mean, I don't know. Chalice. I think we get Tron. I think Chalice would have been fine, but I don't really know. I mean, Chalice has to be done on 2, I think. It would have definitely been better to have the Condescend. I totally forgot that Chieftain is a free drop and that he could have that. I didn't think about that, but it's not a huge deal. But what was I talking about? Yeah, if I get a Chalice with a Trinket Mage, Chalice on 1 has to be bad against him, so I need to put it on 4, and then it also hurts me quite a bit, especially since I have a Snapcaster on hand. Let's hope he plays another Chieftain. That would be, yeah, that's great. Obviously, we can't let that resolve. I really should have known about this. Play the repeal on the Chieftain. We only have 6 mana open. I like the repeal. It buys us time, which is all we really need at this point. Obviously, we don't have 6 mana open, we have 2 mana open. What am I talking about? So I'm gonna use this here to get the tower. I was thinking about keeping the second blue, but it's always stupid when you scry and you have an expedition map. But the thing is, obviously Snapcaster is not very good right now. I suppose we could Snapcaster block the Chieftain, but I would like to get some value out of my Snapcaster, and I want to repeal the Chieftain because it's expensive. Wow. So before we go to attack, so in begin combat, we want to bounce. So yeah. So we don't have haste, so he attacks us for 7, which is still huge. Why do we get all the fast decks? And I think we're dead. Is there a way to save this? Snapcaster repeal. He's gonna replay his. Let's see. Even he's gonna replay his chieftain, that's for sure. So he has 1, 2, 4. Actually, this guy is gonna. Doesn't really matter if he keeps it or if it dies, but 1, 2, 3. That's 5 damage. One we're gonna block. We could possibly survive this with repeal the chieftain and Snapcaster block the Goblin Guide. Basically, only if he doesn't pay here. If he pays for this dude, then we are dead. So another line of play we have is Snapcaster repeal token just to get 1 more draw. Then we have Gazillion of mana, and a Gazillion is actually at this point 7. No, hang on. This is 10, this is 11. We're gonna use 3. 8 mana is what we would have. Which would be enough even. So we have O-Stone, which we could draw. We have Platinum Angel. Yeah, I think we try and hope he doesn't pay the Echo. He would be the first player in the history of Magic to play the Echo. Oh, he drew land. That's very good. So Snapcaster. We have to Snapcaster now for the same reasons why we did it before in the begin. So one of his dudes loses haste. Chieftain. And now we're gonna see which card we would have drawn. Wow. So it would have been fine to do the other play. Let's see if he attacks with everything. Cyclonic Rift. Wow. Wow. Do we actually want to kill this maybe instead of this? No. No, we have to block this way or we die. Okay. How much mana do we have? We have 11 mana. This is 6, 9, 11. He's gonna play Chieftain and attack for. This is 8, 9. Well, we're gonna block the Chieftain, so it's just 8, but we're still dead to that. I guess we can bounce the Chieftain. Not overload, just normal bounce. Yeah, I think we play this Wurmcoil Engine. Because if we overload, he's just replace everything, right? We don't have enough mana for both. Yeah, I think this is a better play. Instead of overloading, play the Wurmcoil Engine and do the normal Cyclonic Rift cast on the Chieftain. Okay. a little bit unlucky that we tend to get the very fast decks. We managed to win against Burn once, now we get Goblins, but that's exactly the same thing which happened last time, to be honest. Let's see. Let's see. So Vomka Engine I like, Chalice I'm not so sure about, Aetherize I like, Jester's Cap I don't like, Relic I don't like, Spellskite maybe. So this is the maybe pile, this is a bad pile, this is a good pile. Bullnums is okay, Dismember is good, Snapcaster is good, I don't think these are good. So yeah, this is the good pile, the maybe pile, the bad pile as far as I'm concerned. Let's put this on the, yeah, I'm not sure about the Chalice roll. Let's see. Heavy Needle seems useless. Sundering. Let's make an extra pile for stuff I want to board, or I did board out. Next to the bad pile. Yeah, I think the Trinket Mage can go, since we're not playing the Chalice or the Pippin Needle. It is a blocker, which can get us Expedition Map, which was okay. Well, I'm not sure about the Trinket Mage, really. I'm not sure about Remand. Remand on the Chieftain is... it buys us some time. We can't replace the Remand with negates like we would against Burn, because we're really worried about Chieftain. I like all the other cards. Spellburst might be a thing because it's too slow. One more card. Mindslaver, maybe. Maybe Mindslaver. Mindslaver or Expedition Map, I think. I think Expedition Map, maybe. How about that? V6 go out, V6 go in. I'm not so sure about this Spellskite. It's a decent blocker, but he's just gonna overrun us, and Spellskite is not gonna matter, I think. I think I like all of these cards really a lot. And these I have to think a really long time to justify even playing them, and yeah. I think this has to be the way. I think the only other questionable thing is maybe the Mindslaver. So if this goes a little bit better. Let's keep 2 repeals is pretty good. Oh, that's a pretty long question. Yeah, it does. Sure. Well, Island after turn 3. That's not true. That's not true. Well, you play Troopers list, I don't, so that's the first thing, right? It is somewhat slow, of course, it's a control deck. The metagame is not friendly to control deck. The metagame is friendly to combo and um to combo. What am I talking about? To combo and to mid-range. Bottle Gnomes. I want to draw Bottle Gnomes, but I also want to repeal this dude. So yeah, currently in the meta, there's not really control deck tier 1. All the tier 1 decks are combo or mid-range. But you do have cards and ways to interact before turn 3. Remand and Repeal is exactly, and Condescend is exactly there for that purpose, so. Let's see if he has Lightning Bolt. If he has Lightning Bolt, it's okay, we still get some value. Wow. I assume he will name map. If he names Ball Gnomes, that's okay. I'm not gonna second response, because this is still a good blocker. And he still has to Lightning Bolt it to get it out of the way. And he's He should really name map, I think. It's pretty huge if he names map here because we don't have a fourth land drop. But he does have a Goblin Guide, so that helps. Yeah, so again, Yggdrasil to kind of bring this across. I think we do have ways to interact in the early turns. Sometimes you just don't have them in your starting hand, and I do think that control currently in this is not that good. I kind of want to repeal this. But I also, well, let's see what happens. But I think I might repeal the Pithing Needle end of turn after I've sacked the Bottle Gnomes, so that it doesn't hurt my Bottle Gnomes when it comes into play again. Dragon Fodder. We have no way to interact with that anyway. Yeah. This has to be the play here. I really don't want to sack the Bottle Gnomes though. I don't think I play the Treasure Mage. I think I want to Thirst, because finding Tron would probably win us the game. Yeah, even if he plays Pithing Needle here, I'm not gonna sack, because the blocker is more important here than the sack. Goblin Grit, why would you do that? Actually, am I gonna remount this? Just so he has to sack another Goblin? Remounting this seems actually pretty okay, but I think I'm just gonna sack. Sacking is already a good decision. Now the Needle again, which I still don't care about. If he names Eugene, that would be pretty big, but I don't think there's any reason to assume he would do so. He has not seen the Eugene, and it's not something you expect from Blue Tron. I think it's gonna be something like Better Skull, or it should be Better Skull, O Stone, or Mindslaver probably. Cereal. Wow. This is really weird that he named. Repeal. Oh, before I do that, I should Thirst, because I might draw a Dismember. Wow, this is Tron for 3. Yeah, I think I keep these two. I think I discard Remon because it's not very good right now. And Eugene because he has a thing. Actually, no, not Eugene. Cyclonic Rift, yeah. So, because if once we repeal the Pithing Needle, we can Eugene and win the game, basically. Well, look what happens here. Look what's gonna happen here. To be honest, we had an insane top deck right now, but Wonka Engine would have been good enough, right? 1. He has 6 hand cards though, but we're still at 17 life. Wonka Engine in hand. This is gonna name Eugene again. Damage is already done though. Let's see. Do I want a second blue source actually? mean, this is obvious. I think this is. Oh, we still haven't played this. Yeah, I wanna keep. I'd rather have the Remand than the Treasure Mage, to be honest. And we still get to get the second blue source. It's not a huge difference with Smash because we still get to attack with the tokens, but 6 life is actually it's a pretty big difference. If you had search for mindset with Treasure Mage, yeah, but we can do this one turn later. I don't think we had enough mana to activate. But you might be correct, maybe I missed it. Let's see. There we go. I don't think the turn before we had the mana, but I might be mistaken. Maybe I just missed it because I was uh, stuck in my own line of play, which I had already thought about. That happens sometimes. I think the boarding is correct though. Yeah, maybe you should. I usually don't keep a hand which doesn't have an island, and I usually have either Remand, Condescend, or Repeal at least once. Just gonna keep this the way it is. Nizuro's list or cbgirardo's list is pretty much what I'm running, almost. He is playing one more Dismember in the main and one more Chalice in the side. I can give you a link after this. Yeah, I think we're gonna lose this. He's playing a lot of creatures, and we're not gonna be able to condescend effectively. Well, there's a repeal. That's great. Actually, we're gonna have to discard Thirst, I think. It has to be the worst thing here. First or one condescend. We have to keep the repeal and the condescend and the vaporize, so. And we can't throw away the land. Does this matter? Well, yeah. Yeah, it does. Let's hope there's a land on top now for the Goblin Guide. Repeal. still good. Repeal still good. Pop one, okay. Do I wanna... It's kinda tough if I wanna repeal here. I would like to repeal the Golden Guide. I guess, yeah, I guess I want to, because next turn we can Etherize anyway. If he has another Goblin Grenade, and we lose because I didn't have Condescend open. Wow, double Goblin Grenade. And it would have been fine if I just keep Condescend open. Let's see what we would have drawn. Oh, wow. That Fabricate would have been huge. I would have had Tron. Double Goblin Grenade. Close, though. Very close. Despite being a hugely annoying deck to play against as the control guy. Hang on, I'm gonna give you the link which I was talking about. To the deck list which I was trying to play today, but I couldn't really emulate it because I don't have all the cards. And let me put up a game again. Oh, they're sideboarding. Well, as a test, kids, we got to play twice against Mono Red, basically. Well, against Burn and then against Goblins, and we are 1-1. And it was really close, both games, actually. Well, no, the first game wasn't close. But the first match wasn't close, but the second match was, in my opinion, very close. And I think we should have been able to win there, but the opponent had double Goblin Grenade, which was just sick. I'm just looking for the post, and that it is. So that's the deck list I was talking about, and that's the guy I'm talking about when I'm saying cbgirardo's deck list or Nezuro's deck list. I don't call him Nezuro because I've never seen him on Twitch, and I only see him on the forums, and there his name is cbgirardo. And it's the first week or the first time I'm playing his list or trying to play that list, but I think it's a pretty good list, and I can tell from his posts that he is one of the few people on the forum, or one of the few people in that thread, who have a good idea of what's actually happening. Some people in that thread are just, I don't know, infuriating. They make me angry. I mean, you get people all the time asking questions which have been debated over and over again, and I think this is a common problem in MTG Salvation primers. You know, people talk about, I don't know, Steel Hellkite or Batterskull. People talk about Batterskull like 2-3 pages long, and then 2 weeks later somebody comes along and he says, "What do you guys think about Batterskull?" Instead of using the search function and just reading the 3 pages which have already been committed to that discussion, and where all the pros and cons have been debated, now we have another 2 or 3 pages full of spam where people say, well, Batterskull is really great against certain decks, and against others it's just worse. You can't get it with Treasure Mage. Anyway, yeah, that's the deck list I'm playing, and there's also sideboarding advice, I think, in that link, but I don't follow that because I don't play the same sideboard, and I really I really do my own thinking when it comes to sideboarding. I should probably read it a bit because some of these matchups I don't really know how to board, like Amulet combo. Jester's Cap is seriously good. Jester's Cap is one of the cards which a lot of people are often talking about when they see my sideboard, and I've been playing it for probably 6 months now. And but it's actually not that weird. It's not like you don't see this in Blue Tron sideboards. Jester's Cap. Some people play Surgical Extraction in that slot, but so keep in mind that Jester's Cap is not necessarily the only way to do that thing. You can also use um, Surgical Extraction, but I like Jester's Cap, and it's mainly for Scape Shift because they just get Valakut. You get all their Valakuts, and if they have Valakut already in hand or already in play, you just get Mountains. And it's also good against some other decks like Ad Nauseam, Storm. I've played it against Twin, but it wasn't that good. I've talked about it on the forum, and I was told that I shouldn't board it against Twin, and I tend to agree now. Yeah, it's very good in the mirror, and people don't understand that, but it's very good in the mirror. Or I should say people usually don't get that by themselves. Once you tell them, they realize that it's true. But I've not met anyone else, basically, except the people who talked about it on the forum, who had that idea and did that. But if you ghost quarter your opponent's tower, Urza's tower, it doesn't matter if it's red green Tron or blue Tron, and then you just kept the other three towers, you basically win the game. And if you can't do that because you didn't draw your tech edge or your ghost quarter, you can do something else, which is get free win conditions. These decks usually play maybe 8 win conditions at the most, and some of these win conditions are really tough to deal with, like Emrakul for instance. So getting these win conditions and removing them from the deck is a huge deal. If you play Blutron and your opponent has cast Slaughter Games against you and named Womka Engine, you kinda know just how bad that feels, but that usually only hits 2 cards. Now imagine Jester's Cap, he's gonna get your Mindslaver, your Womka Engine, I don't know, your Platinum Angel. It's really huge, especially in the control mirror, where you usually board out some stuff, some win conditions, in favor of more counters. Because you expect to win with Mindslaver and Academy runes, right? You don't need Eugene, you don't need Womka Engine or Better Skull in a control mirror. You kind of expect to win off of Mindslaver lock and maybe one big beater. So, so you probably will have only 4 or 5 win conditions, and if he takes the 3 most effective win conditions, you're you're screwed most of the time. One table still going strong, although they didn't label it. So in the daily I played last weekend, I played a Blutron mirror, and I was able to Jester's Cap my opponent both game 2 and game 3. Game 2, the Jester's Cap. No, hang on. Yeah, I was able to Jester's Cap him both games, game 2 and game 3, and he still managed to win. In game 3, he had Emrakul in his hand, so I couldn't take it, and his hand was natural Tron or like Tron and Expedition maps. Basically, he was able to play Emrakul, hardcast Emrakul something like turn 6, something pretty fast because his hand was like 3 towers, mine, power plant, island. It was really, really sick, and he won off of that. and he basically he had a really sick hand, considering that I had a pretty sick hand myself. But his hand was unbeatable, kind of. And then there was the other time. I think the other game I just kept him, I won, and I think I took Academy Runes, Mindslaver, Emrakul in game 2, which was pretty good. Yeah, well, Cap is actually so. I just kept praising Cap for like 10 minutes, right? How great it is. Well, now's the other side of the story. It's really narrow. Like, all the matches you won Cap are not really matches you care that much about. Like, are you really worried about Ad Nauseam, a deck that nobody plays, or Storm, a deck that nobody plays, or Blue-Tron, a deck that only you play probably, or Red-Green Tron, a deck that doesn't see a lot of play right now, or Scapeshift, a deck that also doesn't see a lot of play right now. So it's good against 5-6 decks, but all of these decks you don't really see that much, right? So against all the tier 1 decks, it's not really good. So it depends on your local meta, I suppose. So like all of your sideboard slots really. But Jester's Cap is definitely a slot which, if you don't think any of the combo decks which it's good against are gonna show up, you could definitely fit, I don't know, an Aetherize or a Hibernation or a Hurkyl's Recall in that slot to prepare against some mid-range or creature strategy which Jester's Cap would do nothing against, right? If you expect a lot of affinity, another Hurkyl's Recall, or if you expect a lot of green-based aggro and hibernation. So it's not a must-have in your 15 sideboard slots. It really depends if you're scared or if you're predicting the combo to turn up. And of course it helps if you have insight into the metagame breakdown of your local, well, of the event you're gonna play. If you play a local FNM, you probably know most of the decks which are gonna show up, but if you play like Grand Prix or Daily, it's a little bit tougher. Have I played any games against Grixis Delver? Yes, I have. I have one or two. I think it's been okay. I'm trying to remember. Well, the obvious things. Remand is pretty good because if they play like a turn 3 or turn 4 Tazigor or Angler and you remand it, it's huge. It's really huge. Some of the cards which are bad is Repeal because you're never going to be able to repeal an Angler or Tazigor. I mean, not never. You're going to be able to repeal it at some point, but it's not as great as repeal as against Tamogorth, obviously, or against Delver or Goblin Guide or whatever, right? So repeal, not as great. Actually, look at the chat here. It can be very tough if they do get a Tazigor or an Angler to stick on turn 3 or turn 4. It's very tough to deal with that because repeal doesn't work in the early turns. So I think Dismember seems pretty good against that. So Dismember is a good thing. Chalice obviously is a good thing. Yeah, I think you just bring in your Dismember and your Chalice and you hope for the best. Or you try to outlast them by playing an early Batterskull. I've played it only once or twice and it's been a while. I haven't played the last 2 weeks. Well, that's not true. I played the daily last weekend, but I haven't really played anything else except for that one daily the last 2 weeks because I was busy, then I had a cold. Grixis Delver can definitely be tough if it does get the Tazigor or the Angler down really fast. But as I said before, Riemann is pretty good. Dismember is pretty good. Chalice is pretty good. We have answers to their cards. If you don't have a Riemann and they play that Angler or Tazigor turn 3, you probably lose. I think I forgot to report. Been talking all the time? Yeah, I forgot to report. Hang on. We lost 1-2. Sadly. And unfortunately. Story of my life, though. And I could already get another ice cream. And yeah, I don't know if I told that already, but this is the last table up, so after this we should have pairings for round 3. Yeah, I used to be a guy who complained about other people not reporting because I was impatient when I was playing. Now that I'm streaming, I forget it sometimes myself because after I've lost. So when I lose, I usually talk like for 3 or 4 minutes. I try to analyze why I lost. If I think I lost because of bad draws or because of bad matchup or because I made a mistake, what could have happened, what should have happened, how I could have played, a lot of analyzing whenever a game is over. And then I fix the overlay and I talk to you some more, and it's really easy to forget to report when that's happening. And I really suck at multitasking. When I'm talking to you about, oh, I really should have gotten, I don't know, I really should have scribed the first knowledge to the top. I can't report at the same time. It just doesn't work. Just as I can't follow the game in front of me and talk to you. When I'm talking about my own deck or just about what you write in chat, I'm looking at the game which is happening, but I literally couldn't tell you what has happened last turn. I mean, now that I look at it, I know which decks are playing what. I'm completely not paying attention when I'm debating some other issues. Oh, by the way, this is the Chromatic Lantern deck from before, and we see some more white spells now. Lightning Helix and Condemn. So it doesn't sell here. Oh yeah, put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Controller gains life equal to its toughness. Target attacking creature. So this seems almost better than Path if it wasn't target attacking creature. So the real problem here is some creatures don't need to attack to win the game. Like, I think the most obvious example would be Kiki Jiki or Dark Confident or something like Pestermite on a Splinter Twin. I mean, Condemn wouldn't save you from Splinter Twin because you would only be able to remove one of the tokens, right? Because you probably wouldn't attack with the original in fear of Etherize or something. So it's decent. It's just weird to see it because you usually don't. But this would be so good if it didn't say put target attacking creature, but just put target creature. I think it would be better than Path. Because for life, you probably don't care about all that often. I mean, very fast decks, like, I don't know, Zoo, would probably still play Path. But a control deck wouldn't care about the life, but it cares about giving your opponent a land. I like the card, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I think it should probably be played more. Or they should print a better version, which is not so restrictive with target attacking creature. Maybe if it was target attacking or blocking creature. I think there's already a card which does that, but it's a limited card. It's like really expensive, like 5 mana or 4 mana. O-Stone is pretty insane. Did he actually have a fate counter on this dude? Did I get that correctly? Just a step under swords. Swords is exile, gain life equal to power toughness, right? Yeah, I guess it would be a little bit too strong. Yeah, so swords to plowshares is, I think, a little bit too strong for modern. And I'm not saying white needs better removal. I just saw the card and I remembered what it does and that I actually like the card and that I kind of find it sad that there's just pop, right? You don't see any other white removal. You just see pop. And I would like it more if there was diversity. If if you were deck building and you were playing white and you had a choice between different kinds of removal, if there was two and you had to make a choice, do I care more about my opponent gaining life or gaining a land? And I don't think right now there is a choice because Condemn is just so much worse because of the only targeting attacking creatures clause. So right now it kind of takes something away from deck building because when you do play white and you need removal, there's only one choice and it's obvious, it's path. Spot removal basically, right? There's no uh, competition in that slot. There's no alternative in that slot which is close to the performance that path has. Let's actually have a closer look at this graveyard. Oust. I think Oust is sorcery speed. If I remember correctly, it's exile target creature, gain free life. But sorcery speed is pretty bad, to be honest. And I didn't even want to talk about that long. Yeah, it's second from the top, but it's just random thought which popped into my head, so that's kind of why I went with it. And the thing is, Oust and Condemn are probably not even that much worse than Pop. I mean, if you made Oust instant, or if you made Condemn just target any creature, they would probably be over the top good. Like they would be too good, right? So at that point, everybody would be playing Condemn or Oust, and nobody would be playing Path. That's kind of the way it is in Magic often. Like a card is just a tiny bit better than another card, but everybody plays, you know, everybody plays the other card, which is better. Instant Auswärme crack fetch. Even if it's just put target creature on the top of their library, it's still pretty good. It's still way better than bounce because it's like bounce and your opponent discards a card. It would still be good even if you're. I mean, first of all, he doesn't draw it right away. Second of all, he still has to draw it, so it's card advantage neutral. It's not like bounce. Unsummon is always bad card advantage. You lose a card, your opponent doesn't. Oust, at least your opponent needs to sacrifice a draw step to get the creature back. I suppose you could